Hi, thank you for joining us for this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm so excited. This week we have USA Today bestselling authors Chasity Bowlin and Sandra Sookoo. Ladies, it's always a delight to talk to you. I'm glad I've got you both together this time.
Hi.
Thank you.
So, Sandra, let's start with your book because it released first this week, and it's
Okay.
the second book in a new series. It's Pursuing Mr. Mattingly, which is book 2 in the Willful Winterborn series.
That's okay. I'm messing up all the time too.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Okay, this is the second book. I was gone when the first book released, Romancing Miss Quill. I was at a conference. So this is a follow-up to that. The series follows a set of siblings who are older now. And, they've all gone through their first romance. Things have happened for one reason or another, death, whatever. So now they're finding romance a second time around. And it's not quite as easy as they had hoped, it would be the second time around. This particular one, Sophia is the heroine. She got a medical diagnosis that ended up being completely off the rails for her. So she thinks she's dying, and she wants to get married one more time so that her kid isn't left an orphan. And then that opens up a whole can of worms on 20 different levels. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to give away the whole plot of the book. But suffice it to say, she marries an American ambassador that she just met. Like literally the guy walked into the parlor and 2 days later they decide to get married. And
I love those ones. I love the we got married, then we have to fall in love stories.
Yeah. Then everything happens after the fact, that kind of thing. So, and then the characters make a recurring appearance throughout the series. The good news about this series, and I got it last month, is Dragonblade extended the series by 3 more books.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, I'm going to have this big shocking scandal to, precipitate that extension, So that will happen in a novella that comes out in February for Valentine's Day.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So just because you're older doesn't mean you're not going to still have huge problems.
Yeah, baby.
The great thing about Sophia is, and I don't know if it's because I'm going through the same thing right now or not, halfway through the book, I realized, oh, look, Sophia's going through perimenopause. That's exactly what she's going through. But of course, I didn't call it that back then. You were pretty much crazy. You were labeled crazy. So that's what's happening here. And of course, they didn't know anything about the woman's body. They're like, oh yeah, I think she's crazy.
Nothing's changed.
So halfway through the book, I'm like, oh yeah, now it all makes sense. So good times.
Yeah, well, us ladies of a certain age need characters that look like us too. So,
so I hope everybody likes her. She's a really relatable character. She's really fun, and I really hope that you like Sophia and Oliver.
So tell us about Oliver. Tell us about the American ambassador.
Who's he? Her also. So that's always fun to do. The older woman, younger man trope. That's always fun.
We got a cougar.
So, and he is a virgin hero. So that's always fun also.
Oh my goodness. You're like hitting all the tropes.
Well, it just happened. It just happened that way. I didn't set out to make him that way, but they kind of, that's how they laid down when I wrote their opening chapters. So he gets into her life because his carriage broke down on a country lane that, was rutted with rain and mud and stuff like that. So he ends up at their house, and the first person that he meets is her daughter, her 12-year-old daughter. So that kind of pulled him in because, he's always wanted a family and that kind of thing. And then when he meets the rest of the Winterborns, he's like, yeah, this is something that I would really like to do. So, of course, he was the one that fell for her first. So it was easy for him to make that slide because it was a whole love at first sight kind of thing, not very experienced, that kind of thing. But for her, it took her longer because she'd already been through romance before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that once you already know what it's like, taking that jump again is way harder than it is.
So he's all Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. Oh, this is the greatest thing. He's got a real positive attitude, and she's got more life experience on her. So she's like, "Listen, buddy, you need to take a step back or two."
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. So you said that there are 3 more books extended for 3 more books in the series, but there was one more that was already contracted before the extended.
Right. The next one will come out in October, and that's the youngest sibling. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Gilbert. Gilbert is his name.
Okay.
So that'll come out in October, and then a novella for a cousin will come out in February
To make the bridge to the new thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that sounds like so much fun, and I love a cougar. And I love vehicular meet cute.
The series is the siblings make an appearance, all the way through, in and out of each other's lives, and it's always fun. And there's a big fat dog named Regent, so he makes another appearance in this book. So if you love Regent from the last book, he'll be back.
Oh, it sounds like so much fun. And I love siblings too, because you get to I love when you can fall in love with the whole family and then stay with them the whole time.
Right.
That's always so much fun. So Chasity, your book is the Hellion Club, which is a much longer running series. We're at book 6 now, and it's the Duke's Magnificent Obsession. I love the setup for this series.
So it has also been extended.
Oh, yay!
It was supposed to be a 7-book series, and it's now turned into a 14-book series. No pressure.
That's a lot of extra books.
It's a lot it really is. Around,
well, we're luckily the way this is set up is that all of my characters are governesses who wind up marrying the people that they work for or some family member thereof. So there are always children in these books. So we're going to fast forward a little bit from the Regency era into the Victorian era.
Oh, cool.
So it's going to follow more of a second generation thing. But the first 2 books of the extension are going to be about characters that are existing in the Hellion Club world already. This sort of shady, mysterious underworld character, the Hound, and the Bow Street Runner, who's basically in his pocket. They're both going to get books.
Oh, cool.
So, but the Duke's Magnificent Obsession, it's kind of one of those everything but the kitchen sink books. I didn't set out to include all these different tropes, and
it just happens.
They just sneak in there. You just you're writing, and it's like, oh, okay, well that happened. But so yeah, we have Barrett Graves, the Duke of Hargreaves, who is sort of this scandalous character. There's a very dark, mysterious event in his past where his father and his elder brothers were all murdered.
Yeah.
And there's some suspicion that even though he was very young when this happened, that he may have had a hand in it. So he kind of avoids society. He's pretty much a hermit. He just keeps to himself, and he's happy that way. And then his very shady, manipulative, horrible aunt shows up and basically drops her children and their governess on his doorstep and leaves. So it kind of goes from there. It's a little...
That's like extra bad house guests.
Yeah. And some of these children are really not nice. So this poor governess has her hands...
Like frog in the bed, not nice, or mean, not nice?
No, they're older adolescent boys, and they're just hell. That's all they are. They're just hell. So, and if anybody has any adolescent boys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, and then there's a very precocious 9-year-old girl who, it's one of those things where, and we've all known children like this, where they look like a kid and then they talk like they're your 80-year-old grandmother, and everything that comes out of their mouth is just
their wise old soul
of wisdom and sarcasm. So it's a lot of fun. There's there's some angst and some darkness because I can't write a book unless I kill people in it. That's just not possible for me. But but there's still a happy ending. So yay, it all works.
So we stay on Chastity's good side so that we don't end up being the character that gets killed.
Luckily, I never base them on real people.
Oh,
I've got
totally
enough
do that.
made-up people living in my head. I don't need to use stuff from the real world.
it's therapeutic. Come on.
I was like, if I was going to kill people on the regular, I would totally draw from people who vex me.
That's right. Every day, baby.
I can't give them that much headspace if I do the Toby's saying hi in the background there. If I let the real world intrude, then my characters don't talk to me as much. So I kind of have to keep them. I have to keep it very separate.
Yeah.
That's why you kill them. Damn it, why did you kill them?
I'm only bloodthirsty on the page. I swear. Like, there's no actual real homicidal tendencies in this household, contrary to what my husband might tell you.
Oh my gosh.
So we have one more book in this series before the extension and it starts sliding into Victorian Error.
Yes, and I am writing it now. And it's the one that everybody has been clamoring for since book one. It's Effie and Highcliffe. So I'm having a lot of anxiety about this one because it's super high stakes for me because everybody's so invested. And I've started it 3 different times and scrapped it and started over.
Yeah.
So I'll get there. I'm pretty happy with the way it's going right now. So
those, I think, are the wildest rides when it's a character that you've known for a long time. Lots of times I think you get that's their story in the beginning of the series and it kind of stews in your head the whole way through. And then when your readers are waiting for it, then there's a whole lot of extra.
Well, and it's weird because in every book there have been scenes with Effie and Highcliffe where you've kind of seen the ups and downs of their relationship, even though you don't necessarily know what precipitated those ups and downs. So it's going back and weaving all of those things together now into one cohesive story where you get to see everything that's happened between them plus where they're going and where they've been because they've known each other for 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a complicated relationship to write, but I think if I can stick the landing on this one, people will really love it.
I'm sure you will. You just have to give yourself the grace to get there.
Yeah, that's hard for me.
We'll remind you. We can send messages.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll need them. So chocolate and vodka. So.
Chocolate and vodka often comes dressed as grace, I think. So, so is it the new series or the new part of the series that's shifting to the Victorian era? Is that the first time you've written in that time period, or is that something that's comfortable for you?
Well, it will be the first time I've written in that part of the Victorian era. I've written more later, like sort of that tail end of the Victorian going into the Edwardian period. I've written a Gothic romance series for that. But I've never written that sort of early Victorian. So it's definitely going to, well, other than a novella, I take it back. I did a novella for one of the Dragonblade anthologies that was set like late 1830s, this will be late 1830s, early 1840s, which is a different period for me.
Well,
and I realized
the movie, The Man Who Invented Christmas, if you want the skinny on the clothes and the townhouses and the.
Well, and I've been rewatching North and South because Richard Armitage just. Oof. But everybody loves it. I can't help it. It's just that man. So I kind of I know enough about the era, but like the finer details are going to require some.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different from the Regency.
And it's only like 10, 15 years
I
difference
know, but
in
so
time,
much
but
has
I mean,
happened during history during that time. It's just it's
well,
night and
exactly.
day.
Exactly. So, fashion changed dramatically.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
changed dramatically. So it's going to be different, but I think I'm excited to switch gears from Regency just a little bit because I've been very solidly Regency for a long time. So it'll be nice to venture out into a slightly different era.
Yeah, that little bit of challenge to think in a different way or move in a different way, I think is.
And people get to travel by train, which will make things so much
Yeah,
easier.
so
And I won't
much
have to
easier,
figure out
yeah.
how many days it took somebody to get from
Oh my
London
God.
to Edinburgh on horseback.
For real. For real.
But now you got to do train stops, so you know.
Yeah, but those schedules still exist. I have a whole book of them. It's amazing.
True. It's true.
Well, it sounds like so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So we had talked a little bit before we started recording about the time of year in Chastity. I love seeing the pictures that you post on the Facebook page of your little guy. but one of my favorites was my youngest went back to school last week. And we're both adjusting to the idea of having to get up early and all that kind of stuff. I know, and I should not say this on camera, but I overslept one day because there's one day he's got to be there at we have to leave the house at 7 a.m, and I had my A days and my B days mixed up, and I was laying in bed thinking, well, I got 15 more minutes. And I did not have 15 more minutes.
Oh,
so we're both kind of adjusting to the getting back into the groove of things. But I love seeing the picture of your little guy with his backpack. It was like as big as his body.
It was. He started this really neat program at it's a private Montessori school here in
cool.
Madison County, and he's doing their early learning program, and we wanted to go ahead and get him in there so that when it's time for him to go to pre-K and kindergarten, he's already set at the school he's going to be going to, so that we don't have to worry about placement. Because I always thought that when they show you these movies and these TV shows and they're talking about waiting lists for kindergartens, and I thought that's just like some bougie BS. But no, that's a real thing. So I'm that bougie woman who got her kid into the fancy early daycare so he can go to the good school. But yeah, he's already learning so much, and they send us video updates. They have their own little. It's this app called Bright Wheel, and it's like their own little Facebook kind of thing. So he has a news feed, and they tell you when he potties, and they tell you when he has a snack, and they tell you what books they read, and they post pictures of him with his little friends, and it's like, okay. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to get to see what he's doing during the day and not have to wonder.
Yeah.
So
I remember the first time my oldest came home and knew something that he didn't learn from me, it was a song or something. And he was like, and I was like, oh yeah, that means they're going to have a whole life. That's, like that's over there. That's separate. That's,
he comes home with a new word every day, and he'll be 2 in October. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
So, but it's lots of fun. I get up every morning, and my husband and I have this trade-off. Like, I'll get up and get Nathaniel out of bed and start giving him his breakfast while Jonathan showers and gets ready. And then when he's out of the shower, he'll come in the living room and he'll sit down and have some cuddle time with Nathaniel while we watch Monsters, Inc. And while they're having their little morning time, I go fix Nathaniel's lunch and get it all packed up. And then Jonathan takes him to school, and then I go pick him up in the afternoon. So we've got a pretty good routine down so that we both get snuggles in the morning.
Yeah, that's a lovely routine. So I still, to this day, get excited about back to school stuff. Like every time, like when the things start coming out, and I took the kid to go get school clothes and stuff, and then my mom took them to get their back to school supplies. But walking through Staples and seeing all the notebooks and stuff, did you guys look forward to back to school when you were kids? Was that something, Sandra, was that something that you liked as a kid, or were you dreading the end of summer?
We were kind of poor, so not really, you know. No, it wasn't until I was an adult that I'm like, I need all the things, you know. So like, you know, I have three staples that I have to have at back to school time. We all have to have Post-it notes. Like I live and die by the Post-it note. They're everywhere in my office. They're everywhere. And then I have to have these pens, these RSVP fine point pens.
I love those.
I like those too.
Right?
Oh, I like those too.
Yeah, these ones. And
The Click Sharpies.
Erin Condren notebooks. These are my outlining notebooks.
Because you're a big planner, right?
Oh,
like
you
were an outliner planner.
Yeah,
work out all the parts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm always like, okay, give me all the back to school codes, give me all the coupons. I've got money, just here, take my money. I just need all the things.
It's my favorite thing. Even if I don't use them, it's my favorite thing. But I found these gigantic index cards. They're lined on one side.
Where did you know that?
They're huge. So they're
cool.
They're perfect. So I have like 3 different sizes of index cards. So when I work things out, I can organize them by size, which is ridiculous. Like I didn't need them, but I love it so much.
I think we've all got big tubs of things that say, "Oh, we didn't need them, but I have to have them."
Well, and I think for authors, papers and pens and stuff. And Chasity, you were holding up your notebook. Was that?
Yes. I know. Like this is my bougie Southern chick. I have a matching planner and note bar.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you do. Okay. So do you think about what you're going to write in it? Like, because I have the good notebooks and then I have the trash notebooks, and I figure which thoughts are worthy of the good notebook as opposed to
like I don't necessarily outline each individual book, but I do track my productivity. Like I will track my
like
daily
word
word
count
counts and stuff.
Oh, I do too, but I use digital spreadsheets for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It feels really good to me. Like I will map out like how many words I want to get per day on a specific project, and to be able to go back and cross that off to highlight it out. That's so satisfying. I mean, like it's like a sensory thing for me, and it makes me feel like I've accomplished something.
I know authors who do that in 500 word increments, and then they give themselves stickers, and I'm like, stickers?
I give myself M&Ms, but
See, I used to do all that paper planning, you know, and all the stickers, and then I just didn't have time. Like literally, I still have a big box back here full of planner supplies and stuff, and stickers and inserts and stuff. I don't use any of that anymore. I just don't have time, because then by the time I would get back to looking at it, I'm like, oh look, 2 weeks have gone by. I have done nothing with the planner, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I don't have my one notebook in here, but like before I had my stroke, that was, let's just say COVID was not kind in our household. But before the stroke, I had this whole notebook where I'd mapped out word counts and dates for every project for like the past 12 months. And it actually worked for me really well, because I did all the planning before I ever started writing anything. And then I would just go through and cross off. And that helped me stay on track so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had to adjust my routine a lot since then. So hopefully I can get back into that.
One of the things I think it was Tanya Ann Crosby had gave me a little bit of advice, and she said that adjusting your word count goal down, you know, when you're used to hitting like really, really big goals, and all of a sudden you can't hit really big goals anymore for whatever reason, life or whatever reason, it can be so demoralizing, and it's paralyzing then.
It is. It so is.
Yeah. And she said, so she adjusted her word count down way low, because if she plans, you know, to like have a 500 word day and she misses 2 of them, You can hit a
It's
Saturday and go, okay,
overwhelming.
well, I can recover. But if your days are planned at 2,000 word days and you miss 2 of them, you're going to be behind forever. And what that does to you from a psyche standpoint is you end up waking up every day feeling like you're not hitting where you need to be. So,
well, that's true. But if you also have a very set schedule that's very busy, and you know you're going to have to, put out books, you got to stay on track somehow. I mean, I didn't write hardly at all last week, so yeah, I'm feeling that stress right now.
Yeah.
It's just, you do what you have to do, I think. Otherwise, the whole empire starts to crumble. And I always say to myself in December of every year, hey, you know what? I'm gonna, not be as productive this coming year. I'm not gonna put as many books out. And yeah, myself doesn't listen to me.
No. I sat and counted it up, and with the projects that are completed but not yet published, and with my current work in progress, by the end of the year, I will have put out 9 books of new content, not including
that's fantastic.
That come out of other collections and be republished.
That's me too. I've got 9 on the books to be published yet this year.
And I'm like, I don't know how I did it. I really don't. I mean,
or like you'll go into your books before you got to turn them into your editor and give them one more read through, and I don't remember writing that. I don't remember these people or this scene. I don't remember. So I'm like,
just so happy when I like them at that point.
It's just like, really and truly, do you all feel like sometimes writing is like an out of body experience? Like you're not even present for it anymore?
Oh, okay.
There's that, and I think that's one of the frustrating things when you can't go as long as you want to, because when you're in that flow state and the story is pulling you and all you're doing is just essentially going along, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Like that feels so right. It feels so aligned that when you have to pop in and out and jump in and out and figure out how to do it in shorter chunks, you lose that kind of,
Well, that's why I like outlining, because if I have a detailed chapter outline, no matter how long I've been away or what I've been doing, I can open my outline and say, oh yeah, this is where I was, this is what I was doing, blah, blah, blah. So, that helps with the speed a little bit.
Do you guys use music or like coffee or something to get you back into the story?
I always have. That's one of the first things I do when I start writing any book, is that I figure out not necessarily what events I want to happen within the book, but I figure out what mood and what tone I want it to have.
Yeah.
And I build a playlist that I listen to on Spotify that will kind of keep me in that mindset.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do that. I mean, sometimes I'll be inspired by a song for a book. Or a character, but yeah, I don't usually listen to music. I don't build a playlist. I don't do any of that. Sometimes I'll have to have like sound on in the background. So I'll just put in like a favorite movie or whatever, or I'll watch. I've been really into Disney vlogging videos right now.
Disney what videos?
They're bloggers, but they're video bloggers. So
okay.
And they'll show you their day or this attraction or whatever. So that's
never would have expected you to be somebody who likes Disney things. There's hardly any visual tip off of that at all.
So yeah, I have that on in the background because I'll tell you why. It's because it doesn't require brain power on my part to pay attention to it. So I can write, but there's sound on in the background.
It's like coffee shop noise that's not a coffee shop.
Like, silence, but I can't if I have the radio on or whatever, I don't really listen to the radio. Does that make sense? I don't.
Yeah,
it
makes
really
perfect sense.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm weird, But yeah, maybe I should just call it quits on the writing thing and just go be a vlogger, right?
I've been rewatching 80s primetime, so
I know you were doing Dallas, right?
I'm doing Dallas and Falcon Crest simultaneously.
I do that too. Like sometimes I'll put on like Murder, She Wrote and stuff like that.
Yes.
But then after a while, the lack of technology really gets on my nerves because I'm all like, oh, well, this problem could have been solved if you just had a cell
A
phone.
cell phone.
I am obsessed with 80s, well, late 70s and 80s fashion. I love it. So I watch that stuff all the time, and I'm like, oh, I want that dress.
Okay, go and change the dress with the shoulder pads now. We want to see that.
I come with my own shoulder pads. I don't need to supply them for me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
Well, ladies, what's coming up for you? I know we have two Dragonblade anthologies that are still in the books. We have the Midnight Requiem, which is our Halloween one, which comes next, and then a Duke and Winter. And I think Chastity, you said you're in the Midnight Requiem collection. Is that right?
Yes.
So we get a ghost story.
You do. There is a ghost. It is related to the Hellion Club. And I would love to tell you what it's about, but I can't remember.
No idea what comfort that gives me when the authors forget stuff, because I'm like, I'm sorry, I want to know what number.
I mean, it was bad enough that I was having a low-level internal panic attack. Like, I did write this and turn it in, didn't I?
I know, that's always the thing, right?
And I know that I did because somebody would have told me if I hadn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know Italian Club. I kind of remember the details of the ghost now. I got that. I know I did it, but I can't tell you the names of the characters. I can't tell you anything. So we're going to get this other story now, and it's all gone.
We're going to get the anthology because the anthology is like, it's all of these stories for 99 cents. We're going to get the anthology, and then we're going to dole it out all through the month of or all through Halloween, because it comes out right before Halloween, and we're gonna live our best spooky lives one story at a time. So,
because I mean, I love the spooky stuff. I can't.
that kind of dark gothic spooky stuff. And Sandra, you're in the Duke of Winter collection, is that right?
I am. That'll be the very final, and I mean final. I'm not writing anymore in that series. The final Storm Brothers story. I've had
we get Storm Brothers again.
Yeah, I've had countless readers contact me, and they ask, will the Dowager get her a happy ending or a second romance or whatever? The mom of all these characters. I'm like, well, I hadn't considered it, but okay, I'll write one. So it's set at Christmas time, obviously, and she meets a duke, and we go from there. So she'll get her happy ending. And whether or not her sons are happy about that, you'll just have to find out.
I'm going to guess probably not so much. Sons tend to not be happy about it.
They're really protective of their family, and, they're kind of stubborn and contrary. You know how it is.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So we have lots of things to look forward to.
Yeah, so we wrapped, and I like the story for that purpose, and I also like the story because everybody will get a really tiny little update on all their favorite characters in that series.
Yay.
So going forward, you can know what's happened in their lives.
I love that. I love that when you get the little bit of a continuation of the family, and you can see, where the kids are, where's the next,
because everybody writes into me, oh, did such and such couple have a kid? What happened to this baby? This and that. And I'm like, okay, let's just wrap it up, kids. I got things to do. I got new stories to move on,
I loved them when I loved them. I don't love them so much anymore.
I mean, they're great. It was a great series. They're great characters. I think that particular series took everybody by surprise. Because we tackled a lot of things in that series that are traditionally explored in Regency romance. So it was groundbreaking for that. But I think what readers don't understand a lot of times is we cannot spend the rest of our lives just writing in the same series. We are all moving forward. We need to explore other characters and other things, other themes. So yeah, we're closing out the Storms, and we're moving on with the Winterborns and a lot of other different projects now.
That sounds like fun. Chastity, you have a passion project that you're working on right now too.
Yeah, I do. So a lot of people may not be aware of this, or media coverage has died down on it so much that they may not realize what an issue it still is. But Eastern Kentucky was absolutely devastated by flooding. I mean, entire communities washed away. There are still people living in tents. There's still people living in tents, and those are the lucky ones. If they have a hotel room, it's like a miracle, because the hotels were washed away too. I mean, literally everything was gone. So I started putting together a charity anthology called Backing the Bluegrass with Laramie Briscoe and Glenna Maynard, who are also two Kentucky authors. And these are like short vignette stories that are in some way related to the state of Kentucky, that they feature like either the horse industry or the bourbon industry or something along those lines. And I had written a contemporary series years ago called Bourbon and Blood, which was about two feuding families in Kentucky in a bourbon distillery. So I revisited that series and sort of wrote kind of an extended epilogue for a couple that people had really kind of fallen in love with from that series. And that's what will be in the anthology. We're not selling it on Amazon or other vendors. It's all strictly through a pay-hip store, so that the money comes in immediately. And at the end of every month, whatever is accumulated will go directly to Kentucky Flood Relief, which is the state charity fund that they've started for that through the governor's office. And yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm posting links to that all the time. 100% of the proceeds go to this charity. We're not keeping anything for ourselves. Everybody that is part of this has volunteered their time, as far as like editing, cover art, graphics. Everything is just people coming together to really try and help people who desperately need it. So if you have any desire to help the people of Kentucky, this is one way to do it and get great stories in the process. So there you go.
That sounds wonderful, and I love that you made it easy for us to support people who need it without having to go looking. So awesome. Ladies, it was fantastic talking to you today. We went over, and we could keep going. I would be just fine. It was so great to talk to you. I appreciate you taking the time. I look forward to the new stories that are coming out. For those of you who are watching us, I'm going to say it like one more time. Dragonblade stories are the best value if you get them pre-order period on release. There really is not, there's nothing else that you can do for yourself that gives you this kind of entertainment for that kind of low investment. 99 cents. I mean, it's not even a cup of coffee at this point. So you definitely want to get them pre-order and release period. They're all of our books are available in Kindle Unlimited as well. And so it's, I know people are working a little bit harder to make things go a little bit farther right now. And this is one of those places where it's an easy decision. So I'll pop the links for this week's book in the chat, and follow Chasity on social media if you want to find the Kentucky anthology, and we'll look for the books that are coming up. So thanks so much, ladies, for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.